Hello and welcome to Diminishing Returns. We are doing yet another James Bond episode this week. It's Live and Let Die. Without further ado.
Hello, Alan.
Hello.
And Saul?
Oh, we going with that? Hi.
Yeah, and I'm Calvin. And that voice you just heard was Roger Moore, because we are now in the Roger Moore era of the James Bond series. Yay! I honestly couldn't be happier to be here today talking about Roger Moore James Bond films, because when I first was pushing Saul to watch the James Bond film series, the ones that I was most interested in hearing his opinions about were the Roger Moore era ones. Him being my personal favourite 007, and also one of the more controversial ones. Ever since he died, it seems to be cool now to sort of talk about how much you love him, but I loved him when he was alive, so...
Live and let die.
Just so everyone knows that.
So he died about 3 months ago. So has that been a recent development?
It was a year.
Was it? No, it wasn't. It was definitely It was definitely after April last year. I know that much.
Oh, it was May. It was May. Yeah, I guess following on from our last Bond episode, which was Diamonds Are Forever, starring Sean Connery. Connery only came back for the one film, and they paid him an astonishing $1 million.
$1 million.
Yeah, but then after that, they immediately had to go and find a new 007, and they ended up with Roger Moore, who they previously courted for both On Her Majesty's Secret Service and Diamonds Are Forever, if you'll believe the producers, but I'm not entirely sure. I believe that it seems to be that every time they have a new Bond, they're always sort of like, oh yes, well, of course we wanted to use Roger previously, but he was just not available, and then they say the same thing about Timothy Dalton and Pierce Brosnan, so... I would take that with a bit of a pinch of salt.
Yeah. Is it true Roger Moore was getting paid £500 a week? No?
I don't even get it.
Neither do I, really. Is that a reference to his autobiography?
Well, his autobiography is called They Only Paid Me £500 a
Week. Well, he certainly likes to talk about how much money he's earning in the autobiography.
Oh, does he?
But yeah, so that brings us to Live and Let Die. Had either of you two seen the film before this? I'm guessing so.
Yeah.
It's one of the more popular 007
I don't know.
films.
It's like all the other Bond films. I don't know which ones I've seen, which ones I haven't. They're all just meld into one.
I think this one has a very distinctive feel with all the voodoo stuff. And
yeah, I think this is the first James Bond film that feels like it does have a distinct flavour added to the mix.
I think the next few Roger Moore films are all very much like this in that they each take on something of a theme. I think the next one takes on kung fu elements, and then Spy Who Loved Me is very water-based, I guess because Jaws was popular at the time, and then Moonraker obviously because of Star Wars, they went to space. But yeah, this is the voodoo slash... Is it blaxploitation? Is it even near being that?
No, not really. It's got black people in it. Does that count? Is that all you need?
Well, it's from the era of blaxploitation, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not embracing the elements of it.
They spend a lot of time in Harlem.
They spend about 5 minutes in Harlem, and then nobody does like someone with like a red velvet suit and a pimp hat, sort of slapping people around. That would be blaxploitation.
But I could
We're
buy
not far
that.
off.
I could believe that one of the producers had been to see like
Superfly.
What's it called?
Sweetback's badass song.
Yeah, or Blackula or something, and had gone, yeah, let's do that. And this was the sort of white man version of one of those films.
Yeah, that seems more likely.
Yeah, so I guess to cover the plot quickly, or should we go through it? How are your notes structured? How would you like to do this? I guess you have no notes.
I have lots of notes. I obtained a jazz cigarette because of a date I
jazz
went on
cigarette.
recently. And I thought I'd try the thing where you watch a film after one.
What is a jazz cigarette?
An illegal drug substance.
I'm going to tell your mother about this.
I went on a date and I had to pick up from her dealer before I got there because she needed to get high.
That was the arrangement.
It was a whole thing.
So you gave a woman drugs for sex. Is that what you're
She
telling
paid me
me?
back for him.
In sex?
No.
Okay.
You know about this. This is the one where the cat sat on me, so I couldn't do anything. Anyway, it's a thing you do, isn't it? You get high and then you watch Yellow Submarine or something, and I thought...
Oh my god, you watched Live and Let Die?
I thought this film's really boring. Maybe I can make it more interesting on the rewatch.
Right.
I just see Souls there smoking like some basil. Oh man, this is really... Whoa, yeah, man. Voodoo. Whoa!
But yeah, my notes are... they're plentiful.
Okay.
Can I just read my notes and you sort of try to piece together a structure of what's happening based on what I've written down? Because I don't...
God.
Well, my first note is
Okay.
death tone what? They blow his ears up? So how does this equate to the
because
start of
they...
the film?
Death by Walkman.
The pre-credit sequences, we see a load of British officials, MI6 people and whatnot, being killed in creative ways, and one of them is at a UN meeting, and for some reason gets his translation headpiece unplugged and plugged into some other device, which sends ringing into his ears, which kills him. Is that the idea?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So nothing screwy so far.
All right.
The second murder that we see is there's a man stood outside a restaurant/bar. And that's actually one of my favourite bits in the film, where he sees a funeral procession going by and he asks the guy next to him, "Whose funeral is it?" "Yours." And then stabs him, and then the coffin comes over.
Yeah,
and
didn't that seem
picks him
like an extremely elaborate way to kill someone?
Yes,
to set up
hello?
a whole fake funeral procession that he just happens to be loitering
I
nearby.
was going to say the timing's all perfect.
We're on film 8 of this Bond series. Like, we're only talking about over-elaborate death sequences now.
No, we're not. We've spoken about it in every episode we've done on a Bond film.
But this one seems particularly unnecessary, as someone could have just walked up to him, stabbed him, and then got a couple of mates to drag the body off in a car or something, if that's what they do. But instead they drop a bottomless coffin over him, which then magically sucks him up. So I don't know how that's supposed to work. How does the coffin pick him up?
Magnets.
I mean, we do see magnets doing things they're not capable of in this film, so I guess that's perfectly right.
My notes suggest I was particularly affected by this sequence, because they are, holy shit, that's a scary slow man. That guy is like Black Henry Kissinger, stabs him. Then I've written, they're dancing shit done the street fuck.
For fuck's sake. You're the worst high person. Just shit.
They were scary, man.
Fucking hell, at least Kevin Smith gets high and writes films, entire scripts in about 4 hours.
Yeah, but that's because he's always high all the time, and he's learned to cope with it.
You're not someone who gets high on a regular basis, are you? So did this affect you particularly strongly?
No, it barely affects me at all, actually. I have to hit it really hard to get any sort of effect, but...
That's like me with women.
But I've also found that, watching stuff is, really... I don't want to watch things when I'm like that, because you can't follow it at all.
Really? Surprised me. Whoa.
But that's why people always watch Yellow Submarine and Blue Planet and shit with, no plot.
Oh, you should watch 2001, see if it's watchable if you're high.
Maybe, yeah. It's the other thing though is that it makes time take ages as well, and so
don't
that
watch
might
2001.
not be very good if you're watching 2001.
Watch Crank.
Ooh.
I've got another note here.
Oh yeah.
And there's a couple of lines I picked out because I just didn't understand what they meant. I hope Calvin might be able to explain to me.
Okay.
So here's the first one, where Bond finds out that this other guy has died, and he's like, "Oh, I liked him. We shared the same bootmaker."
Oh, right. Oh, were you talking about the actual scene where Bond is introduced? So
Yeah.
we've passed the main title sequence now.
Yeah.
Yes.
What does that mean? We shared the same bootmaker. Is that a euphemism that I'm just not familiar with?
You know what?
Does that
I
mean
don't
they
actually
shagged
know.
the same woman or something?
That line did stick out to me very much on this watching. I've never actually looked into it because Bond says it and then M gives him a kind of look. And I don't know if it's just, what an odd thing to say that he's thinking, or if it's like, if it is a euphemism for something else. Of course, Bond is trying to distract M at this point because he's got a lady in the flat who's hiding around
And it's,
in cupboards.
I guess we have to mention that it's a new Bond.
Yes, which is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about his introduction because I find it quite interesting when you compare it to both Connery and George Lazenby, who are both sort of introduced like with close-ups of the hands and you face in shadow and all that kind of thing. And Connery is of course in a casino gambling and being very suave and cool and smoking a cigarette. George Lazenby is rushing into the ocean to save a woman who's suicidal. And Roger Moore is in bed with a lady and then hiding her from his boss. Yeah. And I don't know if maybe this was partly in reaction to how George Lazenby was introduced, which was very elaborate and all that. Whereas Roger Moore, it's kind of, the camera's on him and they just kind of carry on with it as if it's nothing new, really.
I guess you don't want to draw attention to it, do you? Just like, okay, look, we moved on, new guy.
It probably was the smart thing to do. But in even future films, they will make... You can tell when it's a new Bond's first adventure. But this just very much plays as like, right, yep, let's carry on with it. Let's keep going.
And I have to say, Roger Moore seems like a good fit here. I think my prevailing memory of Moore is perhaps the older Bond. But here he's only about 48 or something, so he's not too old. And he makes a good fit, He can do Bond. He looks like a Bond, I know that's kind of, but because we've just been watching Connery the whole time, I think those are big shoes to fill. But it seems to fit, doesn't it?
Yeah. And of course, he was the Saint on TV, so he'd been playing a spy for a while.
I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you about this actually, Calvin. It's a bit of a broader question, but why did Bond achieve the greater success and longevity than these other things that were going on at the time, which were very sort of similar, like The Saint, and they did these film series of things like what's Michael Caine one he did, Harry Palmer, was that it? They did a few of them.
Yeah.
Why did this one capture the more imagination, I guess?
From what I understand, Bond was the first, if not one of the first, to do it.
So are all the others are knockoffs, basically?
I wouldn't say necessarily knockoffs. Like the Michael Caine ones, the Harry Palmer films are more gritty and realistic, I would say. They're not the decadence that Bond is. You know what? I don't know. I suppose it's just interesting when something catches the public, zeitgeist or whatever you want to call it, and becomes huge. Obviously, Bond was based on a popular book series as well.
It's sort of self-fulfilling, isn't it? We're talking about this one because it lasted. So yeah, so for whatever reason, if it was just luck or... Because it's certainly not quality of film, is it? Is what the point I'm trying to make. Like some of those...
Oh, come
some of those Connery films we watched are really, really poor.
Yeah, but how are those Michael Caine films? I haven't seen those to compare them with.
Well,
they're a bit classier, I would say.
Well, what I'm leading to here, actually, is what I was going to ask, is... Apart from obviously bringing in Roger Moore, was there a big shift between the last film and this one? Or any big change? Or the backstory. Was there anything going on? Because basically this film seems much more like a competently made film. The editing is so much smoother. It doesn't feel like it's just been hacked together like in a rush. It feels like there was a script there, probably. I'm not saying I like the film. But I'm saying it felt more like a properly produced film rather than like a spaghetti western that was obviously made with like $500 and had to be dubbed.
Well, you'd be surprised to know it's all the same main crew. So the same producers, same director, same writer as Diamonds Are Forever.
They just learn from the experience of making that hack job.
Well, it's a lot of the same people that come back next time as well, so I'd be interested to see if... I think that's one of the quite interesting things about the Bond series, really, is that a lot of the films like maintain the same crew, like Dr. No from Russia with Love, Thunderball, all has more or less the same major players involved, and yet the quality is so vastly different. So it's just interesting, but then I think with Bond films, it's more about the elements at play and the cast involved. And, obviously the situations they put him in.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so let's move into the plot a little bit.
Can I rattle off my last few notes then? Because I don't think they're going to touch on anything here.
Okay.
Oh, is this last few overall, or just for the opening sequence?
Well, I gave up about halfway through the film because I wasn't following it. So this is the first half of my notes. So this is... I don't understand. Where are the naked women and a man with a gun? Oh, there they are. Hands. Fuck me, hands. Picking pineapples. What's going on? This is boring and I'm out of it. Kebabs here. I ordered some food. And then helicopter. So that was my experience of the first half of the film.
I suspect you watched a different film.
Is there not a bit where someone's picking a pineapple or something?
No.
There must be.
No, there's no helicopter.
There is, over the poppy fields.
Yeah.
But that's quite later on, so I don't know.
Well, that's where I got up to.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, so the plot is sort of set up here. Bond is sent to investigate the deaths of the people that we see, the United Nations guy, the funeral one, and then there's another guy killed on a Caribbean island. So he's sent to New York to investigate.
What?
Makes sense.
Just send him somewhere. This is a bit of a trope of the Roger Moore films. In fact, it's a trope of Bond films in general. It's just like, if anything has happened in a certain area, just send him there, and trouble will often just find him, rather than he actually does any investigating and gets into trouble.
But what they're doing is he teams up with Felix Leiter, and they're watching Yaphet Kotto, who is he's the president of
San Monique?
yeah, that's it. And he's obviously up to something because he sneaks out the back door.
Yeah, well, should we talk a little bit about Yaphet Kotto? He is the main villain of the film, and we've covered him before, the actor in Alien.
Yeah.
One of my favourite Bond villains. I really like him.
I liked him in one scene.
Oh? Is that the scene where he reveals that he's actually been going dual identity as Kananga and Mr. Big?
No.
Right, okay.
After that, when he has them strapped up to a thing and he's got some sharks in a tank.
Oh, right, yeah.
That scene where he's sort of relishing it and he's being a proper Bond villain, like, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. That kind of acting. I like him in all that.
Yeah.
He does that very well. But in the earlier bit when we see him, I don't know, it just seems very subdued. You can't really tell what he's saying because of he's got a really big tongue or something. He doesn't really speak very well.
Yeah.
And then when he's playing the other character, which my note I made was, "Ooh, that's a realistic looking face."
Well, I was going to ask, did you know it was him from the start? Him as Mr. Big and Dr. Kananga?
I did, but I think I might have known. Do you know what I mean? I think I might have just known. But
yeah,
the problem is that double identity thing is not really relevant. It doesn't go anywhere. It's never really explained. It's just put in so that he can do this cool reveal where he pulls his nose off. And the only really time you see him before that is one quick scene where he comes out and you just see him for a few seconds. So that's not enough setup to establish it as so that when it comes out, it's like, oh my God, I never would have put that together. What a twist. You're just going, sorry, who's that? Is that Mr. Big? Was that the person they were talking about earlier?
I completely agree. We don't spend enough time with Mr. Big to ever think of him as... to be honest, I forget about that side of the story completely, because I just think of, Kananga's the villain. He's the one we spend most time with, and he's the one on the phone to people being like, yep, kill him. Come on, get on with it.
But even this whole scene where Roger Moore turns up, he tries to follow him and then is immediately noticed, and it's like he's the worst spy ever. He's like and so he immediately gets caught and put into a difficult situation. But that whole scene where he's following them into Harlem, and we just keep seeing people like checking in, going, "Oh, he's just past so and so street." And there's like a shoe shine guy, and he's just shining shoes, then he pulls a radio out. Like, he's just there every day, all day, just in case someone comes past, he has to notify anyone. And then it turns out that the taxi driver who's driving him is on their team anyway, so the rest of it is completely pointless. They know exactly where he is. And it's just all this stuff that's so needlessly, like, they're desperately trying to make it look more complicated than it is, or more interesting than it is. I just don't get it. Why don't they just write a good script?
It's not as fun though, is it?
Could be.
Should we talk a bit about, because like just that sequence you were talking about, Alan, like pretty much everyone, almost everyone who is black in the film is a villain or is part of this villainous organization scheme. Apart from two, there's a CIA agent and Quarrel Jr., who we get to later on. Yeah, because, I mean, I've read the book. This is one where I read the book many years ago, and there's a lot of racist language used in the book by Bond himself. This one stays away from all that, so I think it's aged better than it could have under the circumstances.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I noticed, but the fact that the villains are all based on this Caribbean island or whatever it's supposed to be, like, they're all black, that's fair enough. If it was set in China, they'd be Chinese.
Yeah.
Or Chigros or whatever, and then if it was, but yeah, so like that's fair enough. The fact that he goes to America and he goes to Harlem and they're all there, and there's this double identity of the guys, like the Mr. Big. I don't really know how any of that tied in. So it all seems a bit incongruous, regardless. And the race element is just sort of an afterthought. It's just like, oh well, we've got some black people. Let's put it in Harlem, I suppose.
Yeah.
It doesn't none of it makes any sense, but it just seemed like bad writing rather than racist writing.
No.
I mean, if you want to talk about racism, then, you know, the cultural ideas of what, like, Caribbean islands are is probably a better bet.
Should we talk about Solitaire here, the Bond girl? She's introduced as one of Dr. Kananga's assistants. She is a psychic and a tarot card reader. She's played by a very young Jane Seymour. So, how do we feel about her? And in a broader context, how do we feel about the use of tarot and this kind of voodoo black magic in the Bond universe?
Well, definitely the concept seems to be that she completely believes it. She's not a scam artist who's got in over her head. So she's believing what she's doing, and Kananga does as well. Maybe. I think he does.
I think he does.
And he keeps her around to find out what's going to happen. I don't know how relevant it is. And then the voodoo stuff is just played for kind of theatrics, really, rather than any real plot relevance. I don't know. It didn't feel like they were using it as a theme. It just felt like they were sticking it on. It's like, yeah, well, I don't know what they were trying to do with it.
I think they sort of play it safe, because it could be interpreted either way. I mean, my takeaway is obviously that she, because I don't believe in psychics or anything like that she just believes that she has these powers, and Kananga also believes that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think she's actually... Because everything that she says as well is just so vague. It's like when Bond's coming over on a plane, it's like, you know, he comes, he brings destruction and violence, and it could be anyone. Like,
well, she also said he comes over the sea. It was like, well, he's in a plane. Like that. If you say he comes over the sea, you would think ship. I mean, she certainly seems like she can act and has her own voice, which is pretty good by Bond girl standards. But yeah, she doesn't. Yeah, she's definitely one of the better ones, just on the basis that they seem to have cast an actor rather than a model.
I feel bad for the character when Bond cheats her into having sex with her in a very childish way. He stacks the tarot card deck with a load of lovers cards, and because she believes in it so much, she believes that the tarot cards are telling her to have sex with him.
That's not even what tarot cards do, though. Like, they're still telling her that she's going to do it.
I do love the scene, like, after they've, like, because they kiss and you see that the deck of cards is full of lover cards, and then there's a cut and they've already done the deed and they're in bed, and it's just they're both just sat very awkwardly, like on their backs, like on opposite sides of the bed, and it's just so. Or I think there are quite a few awkward Roger Moore moments in this one.
I made a note around this scene. I put Roger Moore seems a lot more creepy and kind of rapey than Sean Connery. I think that's because he does a lot of kind of tender things, like lots of nice kissing and saying nice things. Whereas Connery would just be like, bend over, love, and I'm having my way with you. And it's kind of brutal, but there's an honesty to it. Whereas Roger Moore seems a bit more insidious and creepy with his seductiveness. And I think that's a big difference.
Yeah, because they don't mean anything to him, because he's still sleeping with hundreds of people per adventure. This
is the difference. It's Connery is a man, where Roger Moore is manipulative. And that's a very distinct difference. And I think it's why Connery gets away with a lot of the things. When we've mentioned it in the previous episodes, how it's misogynistic and blah, blah, blah. But you do get away with it because of the Connery charm. And I'm not sure Moore really has that. He's more of a creepy charm.
They do eventually write around that by Moore's third film, but the next one has some even more egregious examples of this, I think. But here, I completely agree. And there's a scene where there's this double agent in the film, Rosie Carver, who says she's a CIA agent. She's not. She's actually working for Kananga, and Bond figures this out. And there's a scene where he's just had sex with her, and they're lying on this picnic blanket. And he picks up his gun and he just points at her and says, "I'll kill you if you don't tell me what you're up to." And it's just the look on his face is so just like that he would have sex with her before doing that as well. Roger Moore doing that just seems creepy and weird, whereas Connery, I don't know if I'd bat an eyeyelid. It's just weird how because I think at this point they're probably still writing Bond as if it's Connery, and Moore's trying to put his own spin on some of it because he can't. He's said that he was always uncomfortable with these kind of violent with women scenes, and they certainly don't give him as many after the next film.
I've got another line here. It's when Rosie Carver, is that her name?
Yeah.
She's on a boat. She's on a boat with the person who turns out to be Quarrel. She doesn't know that. She finds a gun. She comes out, and then it's all a big misunderstanding.
I know which line this is going to be.
He says, "This is Quarrel." He goes, "Meet the man who shares my hairbrush."
I knew it was that. Yeah.
Is that a euphemism?
Again, I don't really know. I do you not share hairbrushes with your close friends, Alan?
No.
Do you have a hairbrush?
You're missing out.
No. So what does that mean? Any ideas?
Let us know on the Facebook.
Send a postcard in with your answers.
Around the point of the whole Rosie Carver and sleeping with Solitaire and all that kind of stuff, we get one of the major action sequences in the film in which Bond drives a double-decker bus. Any thoughts on that? It's one of the more inventive car chase action scenes, I think.
Is it? Because I made a note about this time saying the action sequences so far have been quite lackluster. Very just sort of basic car chase stuff. And to be fair, after I made that point, it got a bit more like that second half of the film was a lot more kind of actiony. Which also I lost interest in. So it didn't. That wasn't a benefit to me.
How can you lose interest when Bond is driving a plane around with Mrs. Bell in the side in the shotgun seat?
I have made a note here that just says "throw a car at an aeroplane."
That is really what that is, isn't it? In that sequence, it's there's no reason why the car would make that movement. It's not even like Bond threw anything on the windscreen or anything. It just drives up against the plane, and that's it.
Yeah.
I'm having a lot of fun. I think this is one of my favourite Bond films, actually. I think there's lots of fun to be had here. Case in point, Crocodile Farm.
This is interesting, because I looked it up, and this is, I think, the lowest rated one on Rotten Tomatoes out of all the Bond films so far.
No, I mean, I think you're actually wrong. It can't be.
No, out of all the ones from Dr. No up until...
Oh, Live and right. Let Die. Oh, okay then. Oh, interesting.
Which I found really weird, and I don't know if it's just a sign of, like, fatigue, with the franchise as a whole, or because not to play my cards, but I mean it's obviously not the worst one so far. It's obviously better than the previous one, for example.
I think just by virtue of having Roger Moore in it turns off a lot of people. People just immediately think if Connery's in it, it must be a better.
But then what about Lazenby?
One. Yeah, good point. Crocodile Farm. That's fun. That's a fun sequence.
Yeah, this is actually a decent little scene, this one. It's fucking stupid. But it...
What part of it is stupid, Sol? When he runs along the top of the crocodiles to escape?
Yeah, the magnet pulling the boat along.
I like that bit, because he has this magnetic watch set up earlier on, and he hasn't used it yet. He uses it
to pull down a lady's zipper on her dress.
Oh yes, of course.
Pointlessly, yeah.
Which I was hoping he was going to seductively undo the zipper unnecessarily, and then he pulls her fillings out.
I like that this is one of the instances where Bond tries to use a gadget and it actually doesn't work, and he needs to think of another way to get out of the situation.
Yeah, it was alright.
Because more often than not, they always work just straight away. There's always something nearby, and I just like that this one, the boat's already tied up to a tree or something. So, we haven't mentioned Teehee yet, who's Kananga's main henchman with the
I hadn't realised that his name was Teehee. I hadn't put that together. Yeah, they're setting him up as we'll have the sidekick with a weird thing, big robot arm. I don't know, it doesn't play really, does it? I don't know, somehow it just doesn't quite. I don't know. Do you like it?
Yeah, I like him very much.
I think maybe they needed to give him a bit more character.
Yeah, he doesn't really do... Well, I think because you've also got Baron Samedi, who is another...
No, he's got a lot of character.
Yeah.
Also doesn't really do anything of interest, but at least he has character.
He's just a crazy sort of screen presence, and he's not actually in that many scenes, but just his voice, how he acts, everything about him is just, quite cool and mysterious.
Yeah. Because he's just some sort of witch doctor, isn't he?
Yeah, I almost don't even think of him as part of Kananga's group. It just feels like he's almost like a separate entity.
Yeah, and they just hire him in.
Is he definitely part of the group? Because he...
Well, he shows up at Kananga's place in New Orleans, and he's very much a part of the sacrifice thing that they're putting on towards the end of the film. I imagine that Kananga is the brains of the operation, and Samedi is just sort of the local religious leader, if you will, of that island. Because there are quite a lot of people on that island of San Monique, and when they've got the snake out and they're going to kill Jane Seymour, they all seem enraptured with him.
When Samedi comes up out of the grave, then when they go back down, they see the workers pulling levers and stuff. So they're obviously working together. So Kananga obviously just supports him as keeps the people in check, doesn't it, with these little voodoo bits and pieces. But he does seem like a genuine nut job, rather than he's not just putting it on. Because when you see him just out with Kananga, he's still a bit mental.
He's a character from voodoo lore, though. He's part of the religion. So
Baron
Samedi.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So it's I don't know how much of it's just representing the voodoo thing. Obviously, it's not meant to be the Baron Samedi. It's meant to be some guy who's dressed up as and embodying him, I assume, as part of the voodoo on the island. But it's I don't know. It's an interesting little element, certainly.
Do you know who I wish they made more out of?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, let me instigate this, because I just made a note here that what I like in a film is when about 3/4 of the way through introduce an entirely new character and then spend about 20 minutes just following their tangential story for no good reason. That's what I like to
do. Yeah, it's quite remarkable, isn't it? Of course, we're talking about Sheriff
Barry Pepper,
J.W. Pepper.
What does J.W. stand for?
G. Willikers.
Never revealed. John
Wilkes.
Wayne.
John Wilkes Pepper.
Yeah, so Bond escapes the crocodile farm on a speedboat, and I guess because we needed some comedy relief, we needed to extend the film by 20 minutes. We have this tangent that we go on with this southern sheriff, as he and his co-workers try to halt the boat chase. But we really do spend an awful lot of time with him, don't we?
Yeah.
It's not just like Bond is the focus of a scene and he's doing a funny thing, to top it off at the end. It's like...
Yeah, we're not following Bond. We're following the police trying to catch this speedboat. Like that's the story that we follow. The fact that Bond is in the speedboat is irrelevant.
Yeah. Sol, how did this particular character fare with you?
J.W. Pepper is a highlight of the franchise as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But I really feel like this character should be the racist one, like who's representing proper racism, and they daren't like go all in with it. Like they could make him a full on racist character, but then go, oh, but he's not a nice guy, and he gets his comeuppance at the end because he's like speedboat crashes his car or whatever, or like he gets covered in manure or something at the end. And so you get your cake and eat it then, because you get to do all the racial stuff that they're obviously desperate to do, and then but blame it on the character. It's classic.
The closest he sort of comes is, well, I'm not quite sure what it means. What does he mean when he says, we've got a swamp full of black Russians? What does that mean?
I don't know.
Is it because they're spies? I don't. Is it
communists?
Is it to do with the drink? Like he's like
not a clue.
Yeah, it's the Cold War era, isn't it?
My favourite bit is when he's talking about how his brother-in-law has like the fastest boat in the bayou or whatever, and they're gonna, recruit him to help catch the other ones. And meanwhile, the brother-in-law is subdued, and one of the black villains gets in the speedboat and drives off. And Sheriff JW sees the speedboat from afar, and he's like turning around to all of his mates and going, "Oh, this is my brother Billabong. He'll catch him," and all this kind of stuff. And then as the boat gets nearer, it becomes clear that it's a black man driving the boat, and there's two of his younger officers just sort of stare at it and then look at each other and go on after it. I do quite like that. And then there's like an oyster salesman who causes traffic problems later on, which is another strange tangent that we go on.
I hated in this scene was the joke at the end where the boat crashes and then it just lingers on this sign that said, make boating a fun sport, 3 miles per hour, please.
You didn't like that?
Oh, it's so badly just timed and worded, and it just like I know what they're going for. It's just done so badly
because it's like a neon light flashing above it, going punchline, punchline.
Yeah, and it lingers on it for like 5 times too long as well.
Something that did occur to me actually watching the film this time, and it really has only been this time, is just how it could be at least 20 minutes shorter.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
at least.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't really miss anything, because there are just sequences that go on for just a bit too long. As much as I love this whole speedboating thing and love all the stuff with J.W. Pepper, I, can see that it should be significantly shorter. I'm not quite sure you need a speedboat to go into like an old folk home pool and a speedboat to go through a wedding and a speedboat to... there are only so many times you can make a gag out of a speedboat going somewhere where it shouldn't.
My next note is boring again, so I agree with you. Trim 20 minutes.
You'd probably just rather the whole film was just this, wouldn't you? Just Sheriff J.W. Pepper chasing around
pretty much
a speedboat,
and then just the bit at the end where a guy gets blown up like a balloon.
Oh yes, because we go back to the Caribbean and Bond has to have his final showdown with the villains.
Yeah, and don't you love it when you have to go back to the main villain after he's been not on screen for about 45 minutes?
It has been a while, hasn't it?
Completely forgotten that Kananga was a character in this film now.
And he's changed character. You mentioned it earlier on, Alan. Like, up until this point, he's been quite a subdued, softly spoken villain for the most part. He has a outburst at Solitaire.
And really
but
not
that's
had
about
a
it.
lot to do, frankly. I'm not sure. Yeah, I have no idea what his villainous scheme was. It's just occurred to me that I have no idea what he was doing, why they were trying to stop him.
Well, he was producing heroin.
Was he?
He was, yes, producing heroin, because that's why he's got the poppy fields on his island.
I hadn't registered any of that.
And his intention was to make a specific kind of heroin and release it for free on the streets of New York.
Well, that sounds like a good, generous thing to do.
And then when everyone was hooked on it, he'd, because then he would immediately, price out all of the other mobsters and all that, and then get people hooked on his drug and increase the price. So basically do what that, is it Martin Shkreli? Yeah. Basically sort of
get him hooked and
get
jack
something
up the
that's
price.
quite affordable and then jack up the price by 8,000%.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, Martin Shkreli did it with medication people were already on and required. I think there's something to be said for a businessman who makes a product that's, like, really addictive free. If someone came out and said, like, look, this is this highly addictive drug, it's free in shops, go help yourself.
Like your jazz pipe.
Oh, that highly addictive. Oh, I need another hit.
Whoa.
Are you smoking it now?
Whoa, dude!
Yeah, so Kananga suddenly is now like a sort of bug-eyed villain who's like relishing the death of these people. And this is very, very classic Bond that has been parodied so much now that it's ridiculous. But, dangling them over a tank full of sharks and explaining his plot and saying, and then like walking away and not watching them die and stuff like that, all that kind of classic stuff, which they do in the crocodile pit as well. It's just like, hey, we'll just leave him here, we'll assume that everything went well.
What annoys me about this instance is that Bond gets out of this by using the buzzsaw feature on his watch.
Which is never mentioned
now
before.
Exactly. That was not set up earlier on. It was a magnetic watch, which comes into use here when he has the shark gun and he uses the magnet to attract the bullet, which he uses in the climax. But yeah, there's been no buzzsaw. There's been nothing like that. So that's a cheat.
Yeah.
Right out the door.
But the thing is, it's annoying when they set up the gadget at the beginning and go, well, this has got a buzzsaw feature. It might come in useful later. And then it's so like, okay, well, I'm waiting for that to be used. But if you don't set it up at all, it just seems completely incongruous. Or you have to have it that he's always just pulling shit out of the bag and it's like, oh yeah, now it's like this toothpaste is, an explosive or whatever.
What about if, when he's shown the watch, the guy says, it's got a magnet in it, and also, look at that button there, and then Bond goes, what does that button do? And he goes, that's a surprise. And when the time is right, you'll know to do.
But yeah, and I'd like to talk about the, inflatable bullets, are they? Is that what they are?
Oh, yeah, for sharks.
Right, so what are they?
They're compressed air capsules.
Yes.
So I guess the idea is that you shoot them into a shark and then the shark blows up and then that deters other sharks. Is that how it works? Is that a real thing?
It's a warning to other sharks.
So yeah, because Bond shoves it in Kananga's mouth.
Yeah, it doesn't even shoot him with it.
He
just puts it in his mouth.
Yeah, and then I guess he swallows it, bites down onto it. Like, what activates it? Because it was in Bond's mouth previously.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, he like inflates like a balloon and explodes.
You know what I was saying about how in Evil Dead this would like make sense.
Yep.
It feels out of place here, doesn't it?
Elaborate villain deaths.
It's really not a good death. It looks silly, and I suspect it didn't look as good as they wanted it to because you kind of see it for about 3 seconds and they go, "Oh, yeah, it's dead."
Well, there seems to be some kind of artificial zooming on the film. For some reason, it goes all grainy and lower resolution. So I guess they probably did it and were like, oh god, this looks terrible. So then
inflatable Yaphet Koto doesn't actually look very realistic.
But how could they have written that and not how could they get to set without thinking, you know what, this might look a bit silly?
Yeah. I think it's a great villain's death. It's one of my favourites. I think it's hilarious.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, but there's no difference between that death and how someone might die in Austin Powers. There's no.
Yeah, no, that's true. Actually, there's a very fine line
between the two here. It's just gone.
So yeah, and then we have a bit of a coda on the end where Teehee comes
again,
back
way too long for a little coda.
Yeah,
they should have done the end
like
credits.
the Winston Kid thing, isn't it?
No, we have the Baron Samedi bit as well.
Oh yes, Bond kicks him into a coffin of snakes.
Oh yeah. Oh,
also,
that was
there's a
so
bit where he
fucking lame. I forgot about
he
that.
He appears out of the ground. Bond shoots him in the head, and his head breaks up like clay. And then it turns out it wasn't him, or something. Mm. And this is This is the first we actually get a sense that Baron Samedi might actually be magic, and
Well, no, I mean, I guess they just have a decoy.
But no, they don't. They distinctly show him opening his eyes and stuff.
Well, yeah, it's just like a doll, how a doll's eyes would move depending on the water involved or something. So when Bond shoots the head, I guess that just destroys a mechanism or something. And it's like a clay decoy.
Yeah.
And then the real Samedi comes up. The only thing that could be seen as evidence of magic is that Baron Samedi is apparently alive and sat on the front of the train laughing at the audience at the very end of the film.
Yeah, just a completely meaningless little add-on that it reduces what you've already seen to nonsense.
I mean, again, it was one of my favourite moments in the film.
What is it, a gag? I don't know what it's supposed to mean, yeah. Just absolutely no thought put into this whatsoever.
You know what really annoyed me with this end bit was when the guy says to Bond, "What the hell can you do on a train for 16 hours?" And he looks at him like, "You sad little man." It's like as if Bond lasts more than 30 seconds. He doesn't come across like Sting or anything, does he? Bond's the most conventional man in the world. He'll pump away for 30 seconds, go to sleep.
Yeah. So yeah, then we're on the train. We have the bit with Teehee and just a stupid fight sequence. And again, just to make it clear that they don't care at all, we have the fact that Solitaire just gets sort of folded into a wall and can't hear anything. And when
doesn't
she comes
even
out,
push the thing open again. Doesn't say "What the fuck, you twat" when he opens it up again.
Yeah, and she doesn't go, "Why is that door been smashed in? Why is the window smashed open and air is rushing in and making a horrible noise?
What's that metal arm doing?" Clamped to the
Terminator
windowsill.
arm.
What is it she actually says? It's just something like, "Oh, Bond,
That wasn't
was a
very
bit rude."
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just absolutely no attempt to create any sense of reality at all. So it does take a sort of special kind of psychopath to throw someone out of a window and then immediately get an erection.
All in a day's work for 007.
I guess that's what makes him the best.
But was this film the best? Shall we do ratings?
It was the best Roger Moore Bond so far.
Better than Diamonds Are Forever, at least, Alan. Come on.
Well, yeah.
All right. Well, shall we rate?
Yeah.
It's a. I'm going to go 9. It's 9 from me.
Jesus Christ.
I think this film is a lot of fun. I have a great time watching it.
Okay. I didn't feel that way. I gave it a 5.
I think that this is... It's one of the better Bond films. I think it stands above most of them so far, to be honest. I'd only point to Dr. No being any better, actually. Dr. No's a decent film. Huh. But then Goldfinger's okay, objectively.
Goldfinger's the good one.
Is it? So I mean, those two are probably better, but I think this is pretty solidly in third place behind those two.
Ah,
and I give it a 6.
Well, that's nice.
It's got some nice moments. It's like bits of it work.
James Bond will return in The Man with the Golden Gun, as the end credits say, but if we were to make a sequel to the film...
I've done a game.
Oh! I forgot about
this. This isn't anything to do with, like, Live and Let Die specifically, and there's no real reason for it or anything. I just thought it'd be fun.
Okay.
Oh.
Can we find a way to tie it in, at least to make it...
Well, it's like Bond related.
Oh, well, that's all right. That's
yeah.
Basically, I translated the names of the James Bond movies into, like, another language and then into another language, and I did that, like, 30 times until they came back as gibberish. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to read out these names of films, and you have to see if you can figure out what the original Bond film name is. Does that make sense?
One of the more obscure quizzes we've had. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, Live and Go.
Live and Let Die.
Live and Let Die.
Yeah, that was a nice, easy one to start with. I'm pitting you against each other, so Alan, you're winning there.
What?
All right.
We said that exactly the same time.
Golden Apples.
Golden Eye?
Yes. I
Ah.
gave her the gold.
Goldfinger.
Goldfinger?
It is Goldfinger.
You can give that one to Alan.
Double Life.
Ooh.
You Only Live Twice.
It is You Only Live Twice.
Ah, damn it.
I Want to Die Tomorrow.
Die Another Day.
Oh, I said Live Another Day. Shit.
Oh, no, wait. It's Tomorrow Never Dies.
It is Tomorrow Never Dies.
Oh, shit.
The Next Balloon.
Ooh. Yaphet Koto Balloon.
This one also
The
came
Next
back
Balloon.
as The Air Trap. No?
Skyfall.
It is Skyfall. Well done.
Yeah. Well, that's a good one. Yeah.
There Are No English Classes, Illness and Culture.
Say that again.
Quantum of Solace?
No.
Say that again.
There are no English classes, illness and culture.
There are no English classes.
There's no like way of reverse
There's no logic
engineering
to
this
this.
one.
All right, great.
I think at one point it turned it into something about like gardening tools. There are no English gardening tools or something, and that became classes, illness and culture.
Huh.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service?
No, this one was The Man with the Golden Gun. At some point, Golden Gun turned into like a gardening tool. Okay. I Like Russia.
From Russia with Love.
From Russia with Love.
It's From Russia with Love. Oh, Alan's winning here, Calvin. You need to put it together. The Doctor, however.
Doctor No!
Doctor No.
Oh, that's Alan again.
What? No, that was me. That was definitely me.
I definitely said it before you.
No, you didn't.
I mean,
think you're
maybe
on
you're on a
delay.
bit of a delay here, Calvin. I don't know. Hira Stiwick. Hira Stiwick.
What?
Hira Stiwick.
Didn't you say you'd converted them back to English?
Well, I don't think there's an English translation for this one, so it came back as Hira Stiwick. Hira Stiwick.
Octopussy.
No.
Oh.
No, it's Diamonds Are
Quantum of
Forever.
Solace. What?
Oh.
Right, Calvin, ready? I'll give you an easy one. You ready?
Okay.
His Secret Service.
On Her Majesty's
On Her
Secret
Majesty's
Service.
Secret Service.
Oh, I'll give it to you, Calvin, but I think Alan was slightly ahead of you, actually.
No, he wasn't. He actually wasn't.
Okay. This month.
Tomorrow Never Dies.
No. You can
The world is
sort
not
of
enough.
reverse engineer this one.
Moonraker.
Moonraker.
Oh,
Moon Month. Something like that.
Yeah. Okay. You.
For Your Eyes Only.
It is For Your Eyes Only.
Yes!
Okay.
Finally found a Bond quiz I'm not good at.
One Day It Was Getting Mad.
Tomorrow Never Dies.
No.
One Day.
Die Another Day.
It was Die Another Day.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. How convenient is it?
Quantum of Solace?
It is Quantum of Solace.
Oh, no way!
Okay. Remember Me.
Terrible film starring Robert Pattinson and Pierce Brosnan, actually.
Oh,
so
yeah,
there's
it
a
is,
Bond
isn't it?
connection. Yeah.
This is
Octopussy.
This is just a weird one. No,
You Only Live Twice?
it's A View to a Kill, that one, weirdly.
Oh.
Hello, comma, suggestion.
From Russia with Love.
No.
Thunderball?
No, it's The Spy Who Loved Me, weirdly enough.
Oh.
Okay. Project Austria.
Spectre?
Octopussy.
It is Octopussy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Alan, you've got like nearly twice Calvin's points.
Unfairly. It's the slowdown between the microphones, you see.
At Dusk.
The Living Daylights?
No.
Tomorrow Never Dies.
Something.
No, it's Thunderball.
Oh.
Okay. I've got 3 versions of this one. This came out
Okay.
3 different ways. Daisy's Alive, The Flowers See, and Look at the Flowers.
Definitely something to do with flowers.
Octopussy?
No.
Tomorrow Never Dies.
No. No, it's The Living Daylights. At some point, Daylights
Oh.
came back as like daisies or something.
Dahlia?
Interesting.
Dahlia, maybe?
Limitation of access.
Doctor No?
No. See where you're coming from with that, though.
Tomorrow Never Dies?
No, that one's License to Kill. Shade.
Living Daylights.
Spectre.
It is Spectre.
Hooray.
All right.
Okay.
King of the Casino.
Casino Royale.
Yes.
I should have got that one.
All right, last one. The World Is Not Good.
The world is not enough!
Ah, that's definitely Alan.
Yes.
Alan, you got 10 points there. Calvin only got 7. So
007.
some Bond expert there. All right.
Oh dear.
Well, shall we pitch our J.W. Pepper spin-off ideas? Which is basically what we all want to do, I'm sure. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, I mean, that is... I want a J.W. Pepper Bond buddy cop movie, but I also want to do something with Baron Samedi on the train at the end, laughing maniacally, so I'm not sure if we can mix the two together somehow.
Well,
I like the idea
Bond...
that he's tricked Bond and Bond's on a train to hell.
Oh, Bond's on a train to the afterlife.
Yeah.
And he comes face to face with all the villains that he's defeated.
You pitched this for our Tim Burton episode, though.
Oh, did I? Oh, God, I did. Oh, that's why I liked that idea so much.
All right, so let's avoid that and just do J.W.
Well, I think-
Pepper.
Yeah, you got J.W. Pepper and Bond have to team up because they're fighting Baron Samedi, who's moved to Louisiana. He's moved to New Orleans to start a new cult or whatever. And they have to team up to stop him.
Has J.W. Pepper been brought into MI6 now, or is he perhaps...
No, you know when he has to team up with the locals sometimes.
Maybe MI6 team him up with a local agent, but like he gets there, like the
Shags
office
her
is
and then she
closed.
dies.
They've not got the messages. They've gone on holiday for 2 weeks or something. And like down the ladder, he ends up with J.W. Pepper as like the next highest ranking official in the town because it's only a little town.
Are we doing this as like Roger Moore in the 70s?
I'd like the idea of doing it now with Daniel Craig and just this actor.
Yeah.
But old.
Let's bring back.
Yeah, I think he's still alive.
No, he died this year.
Oh, he did,
he
didn't
died.
he? Yeah, he did die this year. Last year. Yeah.
Well, I think we should get Barry Pepper to play.
I think we should get Gary Chalk
Perfect.
or John Goodman.
Thomas F. Wilson.
Oh, I like John Goodman. Yeah. I'd just like to see what like a modern interpretation of that character would be for the Daniel Craig era.
Actually, not John Goodman. Let's get Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, that is the modern equivalent, isn't it?
Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that film that was Oscar nominated a couple of years ago, and I forgot about it? But Jeff Bridges was like the sheriff or whatever.
Crazy.
True.
Hell or High Water.
Oh yeah, Hell
Yeah.
Water,
Yeah. Like that kind of character where he's a
That'd
southern.
work.
He's a southern sheriff. He's not allowed to be racist anymore, but
Yeah.
they've still got that kind of old-fashioned style. Yeah.
I think we need to recast Bond for this to really work properly, though.
Well, I was saying you have to go a bit darker with it with that kind of character. But have you seen R.I.P.D.?
No, but I'm aware of it.
In which Jeff Bridges essentially plays that kind of character, more of a Western kind of.
Well, he's the Tommy Lee Jones against
exactly,
whoever is Will Smith.
So he can camp it up a bit and do it a bit more comedically. Old Jeff Bridges, he's very versatile.
Yeah, I mean we've seen Tron Legacy and The Big Lebowski and stuff.
Well, do we have to involve Bond in this? Can we just?
I think it's got to be a true buddy cop movie. But like I say, I think you've got to recast Bond to make this work. It's got to be like a Tom Hiddleston, like a really prim, proper hello, like James Bond.
Yeah,
so he can be like
going back to like a Pierce Brosnan kind of Bond almost, like where he's like he can do the bits in a suit, but not very good at the action. Not like Daniel Craig's like I'll have a pint and then smash it in your face kind of Bond.
That's it. Daniel Craig could get along with him too much, but we need him to be like properly mismatched.
Yeah, proper like educated at Eton and then Oxbridge University, wherever that is, and straight into MI6.
What about Michael Sheen as Bond?
Yes.
You on board with this, Calvin?
I am actually. Yeah, no, I think Michael Sheen as Bond would be a.
How old's Michael Sheen now? Let's have a quick look him up. Oh no, he's 49.
That's all right.
Okay.
So
Daniel Craig's older than him.
Just about get away with that.
Yeah. I mean, if you wanted to jettison Bond altogether, maybe we could just do like Turner and Hooch with J.W. Pepper. Get some dogs.
No, I like this. Michael Sheen, yeah. That's quite
I'd be
good.
fine just having a complete spin-off with JW. Maybe not even need to bring back Bond.
What's his plot then? What happens to him? It's just the local what is it, like a drug bust or a murder that he's investigating? What's he up to?
I think like a Black Russian family move in. And they move in next door to him and his wife, who we will see in the next installment of the Bond films. So we have that to look forward to. Yeah, Black Russians move in next door, and they each learn a bit about each other over the course of the.
This is turning into a 1970s sitcom.
It's my favourite thing to pitch.
What's his wife's name?
Maybell.
Mabel Pepper. May Bell Pepper.
Bell Pepper. Yeah, all the character names are like spoofs, not spoofs, puns on
Chili Pepper.
peppers. No, I'm nice and warm, thank you.
Sultan Pepper. That's his cousin who's a sultan who comes to stay.
Assault on pepper.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's the title. Whatever this is. Is it a series? Is it a movie? What are we making here? Salt and Pepper.
Assault on pepper.
Salt.
Is that the name of the film? Assault on Pepper. It's like a home invade. Like it's the Black Russians are gonna like rush the police station, so it becomes like a kind of Straw Dogs Home Alone kind of like siege movie. They've got to defend the house.
Straw Dogs / Home Alone.
Assault
You know
on-
those two films that are really similar.
Assault on Precinct 13, the John Carpenter film. That's what that is.
Oh, okay.
That's what I thought you were referencing.
No, I've never seen it.
Oh.
Well, it's a good name.
Well, there we go.
Obviously, we went to the same place with Assault on. Yeah. Assault on Pepper. That's brilliant.
So, Sheriff Pepper is defending his local workplace from Black Russians. Or are the Black Russians inside the... What do the Black Russians want? To spread their communist propaganda throughout the south of America, where the people are more susceptible and may actually buy into it. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Communism is very popular in the south of America.
It could be.
Is Baron Samdi Russian?
I think the Black Russians are working with him.
Yeah, he's the local hookup.
Yeah, and all that manifests as is like him sort of dancing around in a scene or two. But
So who plays the Black Russians?
Samuel L. Jackson.
yeah, so it's a modern film. Samuel L. Jackson would be doing like a really campy Russian accent. He'd be well up for that.
Yep. Who else? Don Cheadle.
All right, you're just going to name black actors now. It's going to sound really.
No. I picked those two specifically.
Why? Like Samuel L. Jackson seems like he'd be up for it, just being like silly. But why Don Cheadle?
Don Cheadle is just a random choice.
I think him and Samuel L. Jackson would make a good pair.
Well, we'll see in the upcoming Avengers: Infinity War.
Yeah, do you know who's more likely to do it than Don Cheadle?
Keenan Orkel.
Yeah,
that's not what I was going to say.
let's get Keenan in.
Oh, okay.
Keenan's the bumbling like sidekick, though. Definitely not the main one.
I was going to say Terrence Howard, but
No. We want to set this up for a franchise, and he might not come back for the sequel if he doesn't.
yeah, that's when you get Don Cheadle.
He doesn't have equal billing with Sheriff J.W. Pepper, then he won't come back.
Who's good at voices? Who's good at accents? Like one of the Wayans brothers?
Gary Chalk.
Keith David, he's very good.
Oh,
at
I love
voices.
Keith David.
He's brilliant, isn't he?
Is he good at voices though?
Oh yeah.
I've only ever heard him do his Keith David voice.
Yeah, but he's very good at it.
He's very cheap.
But do you think he could do a Russian Keith David?
Yeah.
Can we get Eddie Murphy in? He does voices.
Oh, Eddie Murphy, of course. Eddie Murphy, Martin Lawrence.
The Black
Chris Tucker.
Russians are just Eddie Murphy, Martin Lawrence. Oh God, what's he called? My favourite. Oh fuck, what's his name from 30 Rock?
Oh, Tracy Morgan.
Tracy Morgan.
Yes, of course. You want a character actor, you go with Tracy Morgan.
Tim Meadows should be like the big bad. The other guys go ahead in fat suits to like threaten people and stuff. But then Tim Meadows is the little guy who just turns up, like, you know, walks out at the end. I think this is going to be brilliant. And who else is in the police station? We need J.W. Pepper to have some allies.
That's
Sam
true.
Rockwell.
Okay, yeah.
You know who might be a good J.W. Pepper?
Who?
Nick Offerman.
Ooh,
Yeah.
from Parks and Rec. Yeah, he'd be really good, actually.
If we're trying to bring a bit more humanity to the role so he can lead it.
Which I think we'll need.
Yeah. And we seem to have gone down a more comedic pathway.
Unlike us.
All right, who else is in the station though? Sam Rockwell. We need. What's the woman from Fargo?
Frances
Frances
McDormand.
Oh no, not her. That'll be too obvious.
John Travolta.
Who's the one from Fargo, the TV series?
I don't know.
We need one of these tough women police.
a tough woman police.
I'm thinking of Alison Tolman. I think
Never heard of her.
you'll have seen her and stuff.
Mm.
She was in that film, The Gift, that you like, even though it's dreadful.
Oh, with what's his Edgerton? Joel Edgerton. Is Edgerton?
Maybe
Edgerton?
Jason Bateman. Oh, can Jason
yes,
Bateman be
yes.
like a sarky young cop in the police station, but he's like too old to be that role, so it's a bit tragic.
Well, we can have a couple of comedy relief, like criminals that are locked up in the police
Oh yeah,
precinct.
Steve
Yeah,
Buscemi.
yeah.
Relatively minor offences.
Steve Buscemi's playing one of them, and he's doing it as the character he plays in all those Adam Sandler films.
Yeah. And the other one's Rob Schneider.
Yeah, and he just
Brilliant.
at one point he just shouts, "You can do it!" Near the end.
You can do it, J.W. Pepper.
This film's going to be brilliant.
They've been busted for possession of jazz pipes. Or whatever it was that's all smoking earlier.
Oh man, no! Can we just get Cheech and Chong back, like reprising their roles in a cell? Every now and then, J.W. Pepper goes and like rattles the bars. I think they'd really fit in a J.W. Pepper scenario.
You know what? They really
They'd
would.
really fit into a Bond film. Just for like,
let's not go nuts.
for like they would for one, like James Bond goes smashing down the street on a hover gondola, and then you just see like Cheech and Chong like looking at it and going like, "Whoa, man, what was that, man?"
They're like they're street musicians in New Orleans.
Yeah,
I guess
you know how like Jay and Silent Bob are just inexplicably in Scream 3. That's kind of what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. I think that's the best collective pitch we've ever.
Salt and pepper.
Salt and Pepper is it sounds like one of those novelty crisp names. So can we get Gary Lynch? Sort of sponsorship, product placement deal.